jobs were lost. Taxes went up. The president got a cat. Whatever the reason, we just couldn't take it anymore. So Texas seceded, and we have to trade now. Thankfully, we've got oil and grain, and America wants to trade with us. So, being the smart Texans we are, we decided to use comparative advantage to figure out what to trade. What is comparative advantage, you ask? Well, it's a comparison of two countries' cost of production, so that the countries produce what costs them the less to produce. So how do we use it here? After all, Texas is so much better at everything. Look at how much oil we have. But we don't produce that much grain, and America produces a lot of grain, but not oil. So in common sense terms, we trade oil for grain, right? Unfortunately, to figure out the price, we have to do all this math. So, Texas produces 1,000 billion oil barrels or 10,000 pounds of grain. We divide everything by 1,000 for a cost of 1 billion oil for 10 pounds of grain or 1/10 oil for 1 pound of grain. But America produces 500 billion oil barrels or 40,000 pounds of grain. So once again, we divide everything by 500 and get a cost of 1 billion oil for 80 pounds of grain, or 1/80th oil for 1 pound of grain. Texas therefore produces oil, America produces grain, and the cost is somewhere between 10 pounds of grain and 80 pounds of grain for 1 billion oil barrels. So if Texas just does oil and America just does grain, if both countries were producing at the halfway points originally, we go up from 750 billion oil barrels and 25,000 pounds of grain to 1,000 billion oil barrels and 40,000 pounds of grain. A mutual gain of 250 billion oil barrels and 15,000 pounds of grain. We now move along these fancy graphs now that we're done with all the math part. So that Texas is at its top corner and America's at its bottom corner. So at the end of this, Texas has more grain, America has more oil, and everybody's happy.